You know what? It shouldn't even be $0. You should get paid for actually wanting to drive this thing around. Yo, what is up guys? My name's Hakiii, and it's no secret that vehicles in this game are ridiculously overpriced. What do you think, Chop? Can you stop wiggling your damn tongue? Come on now. Anyway, isn't it already enough that we have to go to the grocery store IRL and pay like $10 for a little bag of chips? Like, inflation is crazy, and I guess they're making GTA even more realistic by making things ridiculously overpriced nowadays. In this video, we're going to be correcting the prices of vehicles in this game based off what they're actually worth and not their actual price tag, because paying $1 million for the worst performing supercar in the game is just not worth it. Let's start with some Benny's vehicles, because Benny's vehicles, they're actually, some of them are relatively cheap, but I mean the Benny's upgrade is extremely overpriced. For example, you could buy a vehicle for a few $100,000 and then the Benny's upgrade is going to be like almost $1 million on top of that, so that's overpriced itself. The blimp is cool and everything, but come on, who's going to be paying $1.2 million for the slowest flying vehicle in the game? It is just extremely overpriced, and honestly this thing should be, I would say, $400,000. Even the trade price of just under 900k is just not worth it. Speaking of overpriced things, we have the Luxor Deluxe for $10 million. I wouldn't even recommend buying this plane for $1 million. If you ask me, this plane is worth 900k. This might be the most overpriced thing in the entire game, and the worst thing is that this thing has a sister vehicle. The Luxor Deluxe is the gold plane, and then we have the Swift Deluxe, which is the helicopter. Instead of over $5 million, this thing should be, I want to say, 500k if you ask me. You know what? The Dodo is actually free. I don't know if it's just for me or for everyone, but the Dodo is worth it. You know what? That's actually underpriced if you ask me. That's good, finally. The Annihilator, nowadays, nobody is going to be paying over $1.8 million. This thing only has a machine gun. No missiles or anything. This thing, if you ask me, should be about $450,000 instead of nearly $2 million. Let's go into Legendary Motorsport, which is going to be a good handful of vehicles we need to go over. The Power Surge, I mean, it's a good motorcycle, but let's be honest here. It shouldn't be over $600,000. The 10F, because of its looks, I don't think this one is criminally overpriced. If you ask me, I'd say this one is worth $1 million. You know what? That's actually not that bad of a price tag. SM722, it's very unique looking, but it is not worth $2.1 million. Come on now. This vehicle should be $800,000. The Torero XO, it's got the cool pop-up headlights and stuff. It's very futuristic, but you have to be on crack if you think this is worth $2.9 million. It is worth $1.5 million. The Corsita is a beautiful car. You know what? I'd price this thing at $1.4 million. The LM87 should not be $3 million. This thing should be $1 million, I would say. The Cyclone 2 is only on next gen. It's $2.25 million. I would price it at $1.5 million. It's actually ridiculously fast. The Ignis is a pretty good supercar, but it should be $1.7 million, and that's being generous. Honestly, it should probably be in the low 1 millions. The Champion should be $1 million. The S2 should be $700,000. The Italia RSX is one of the nicest looking sports cars, but it's not worth $2.6 million. It's not even a supercar, and it's $2.6 mil. This thing should be $1.2 million. The Taigen is a very unique looking car, but $2.3 million. I would say this car is worth $750,000. Furia is a beautiful looking car, and it performs decently, but come on, $2.74 mil. At least the trade price is like $700,000 less. It is worth $1.5 million. The Krieger is my go-to supercar for races, but that is still a ridiculously steep price tag. This should be $1.7 million. The Thrax is one of the most popular supercars, and it should go for $1.2 million. The Devasty 8 is a great performing supercar, which should be at $1.1 million. The GTO along with the RSX is also one of the best performing supercars. I would price it at $1,150,000. The Tesseract is one of the coolest looking supercars, but come on, $2.825 million bucks. Oh, this thing should be $950,000. The Entity XXR for 2.3, are you kidding me? It's a nice looking car, but it performs really badly, and so if you ask me, this should be $650,000 bucks. The Type-In also only looks nice, so that should be, I would say, $750k. Dude, why is the Silvestre $1 million bucks, bro? Come on now. The Autard shouldn't be anywhere near $2 million. This car is worth $550k. Real quick, if you're a part of the 90% watching right now who aren't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and drop a sub so you're kept up to date with the latest money methods and much more, of course. The regular Cyclone should be $900k. If you're in need of any GTA modded accounts, account boosts, and in cash, make sure to check out Hyper Resupply down below in the description. They offer some of the cheapest and safest cash and rank services out there on all platforms. Doesn't matter if you play on old gen or next gen, and they have lots of verified reviews by their customers too. And you can even use discount code Hakiii at checkout for an extra 10% off. Now let's get back into the video. The Vizion is a beautiful looking supercar. I'd put it at 1.4 million. I actually really like the XA21. The engine sounds cool, it looks nice, I like the stock wheels, but I would reduce the price tag by 1.1 million, so it should be about 1.2 mil. The Wagner is a great supercar. You know what? The Wagner actually has somewhat of a decent price tag. Instead of 1.5 million, I would give the Wagner a $1.3 million price tag. Very good supercar, especially for the price of it. You get a lot of value with it. The Rustin at 430k, that's actually not a bad price tag. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we actually have a properly priced car. The Rustin at 430k, not bad. The Penetrator doesn't have anything going for it. Looks, performance, nothing. This thing should be, you know what? It shouldn't even be $0. You should get paid for actually wanting to drive this thing around. We're gonna say you need to be paid $500,000 to actually get this vehicle and drive it. Instead of you buying it, you should get paid for it, yes. And then all four of these Cunning Stunts vehicles are not worth it at all. The RE7B looks cool, but I would price it at 1.1 million. The Tyrus maybe even less than that. Oh no. The Reaper is ridiculously overpriced. It's a nice looking car, but it performs horribly. Rockstar, give this vehicle a $350,000 price tag. I remember when the X80 Proto came out and everybody was so hyped about it. So many people were using it. Looking at it now, it is not worth over $1 million though. The FMJ should be $550,000. The T20 is an awesome car. I like it, but with all due respect, it should be $1 million less. The Osiris is another beautiful looking car, but come on now. That's gotta be at 900,000. And now we got to the really OG cars like the Massacro. The Massacro at 275k, that is a decent price tag. You know what? Give this vehicle another properly priced stamp. Turismo R at 500,000, not bad. Zentorno at 725. That is yet another properly rated stamp on this one. It is an awesome car. Customization and everything is definitely worth the 725,000. Of course, the OG Adder at $1 million. I mean, back in the day, everyone thought this was like the best supercar, and it might have been the best performing supercar, but nowadays it's definitely one of the worst. It should be priced at 250,000. Moving on to Warstock, we have the weaponized Ignis, which is only on next gen. It's actually not a bad vehicle. Give it the $1.8 million price tag. $3 million for a decent looking boat. $600,000. The almighty Toreador is not worth $3.6 million. Put this thing at $2 million bucks. The Zaba is one of the worst vehicles, straight up. I want to say we should also get paid for even trying to buy this thing, but realistically, it should be maybe $300,000 at best. The Scramjet's a super fun vehicle to use, and for that, I think it should be priced at $1.6 million bucks. The Oppressor Mark II at 2.9, I think it should be $2 million instead. The B11 Strike Force, I always thought weaponized planes in the game were so overpriced, and I'm gonna stick with that opinion. So the B11, $1.8 million. Honestly, I think the Oppressor Mark II is worth more than the B11. Although they're very different, I do think the Oppressor Mark II is worth a little more ultimately. Then we have the Deluxo for almost 3.6 million. It should be 1.4 million bucks if you ask me. The Thruster is really fun to fly around, but no one should buy this thing for 2.75. Come on. The Akula is probably the go-to helicopter for a lot of people besides the Sparrow. Let's price it at 1.8 million like the B11. Same thing with the Hunter. A lot of people compare the Hunter with the Akula, so 1.8 million for that too. The Vigilante at 1,750,000, so reduce 2 million bucks from this. The Bombushka is so overpriced if you ask me. 6 million bucks for it? Come on. I'd be generous to give this thing a $1.5 million price tag. The Night Shark's not terribly overpriced if you ask me. Give it the properly priced stamp. The Half Track is interesting because the buy it now price is really overpriced, but I think the trade price is not that bad. I would make it 1.6 million, so basically the trade price. The regular Oppressor should be 1.35 million, I would say. The Ramp Buggy is a lot of fun, but honestly, I'd give it the $1.2 million price tag, so cut this in half really. The Phantom Wedge is also very fun. You know what? 1.2 million as well. Let's match it with the Ramp Buggy. The Insurgent Pickup, 1.7 million. You know what? I actually kind of agree with that price. Ruiner 2000 for 5.7 million. Are you crazy? That has to be $1.5 million million at most. Rocket Voltic 3.8 million, also crazy. I'd give it a $1 million price tag. The Hydra for 3.9 million, and nah, I'm sorry. And I think I missed the Laser, which is one of the most expensive vehicles in the game, so let me go back to it. The Laser, instead of 6.5 million, give it the $2 million price tag. For Southern San Andreas, we're only gonna take a look at the main juicy vehicle, like the Vigero ZX. Great muscle car, give it the $1.2 million price tag. The Jogger is not that bad when you look at the trade price, so 1.1 million it is. The Slam Truck is also a vehicle I've bashed in the past for the price of it. Give this thing a 350,000 bucks. The Dominator GTS 550k, so it's not terribly overpriced, not that bad. The Armored Kuruma, I would price it at that trade price, so 525k. 700k is a little much if you ask me. The Camacho at 345k, don't tell Rockstar, but I think that's underpriced actually, not even properly priced. The Limo at 30,000 bucks, I swear in real life the Limo is like way more expensive, so 30k for a Limo, pretty good. I mean, this SUV is like 70 times more expensive, so. Motorcycles are for the most part properly priced. Faggio is super underpriced. Obviously, this thing should be like, you know what, $3 million for the Faggio. Batty 801 at 15,000 is definitely really worth it. And then finally, let's take a look at these three last. So we have two go-karts. One is almost $1 million and one is 900k. Like, come on. If we have some good motorcycles for under 100,000 bucks, come on. These have to be $100,000 just because you can have some fun with them in free mode. And then finally, we have an explosive RC car, the RC Bandito, for 1.6 million. Although it's a very cheeky and stealthy vehicle, it's not worth 1.6 million bucks. Give the people this for 200,000, I would say. Let me know if you'd like to see other stuff like this as well. I'd be happy to do that. And click the video on screen if you want to see the best underrated cars you should buy in GTA Online. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.